Preparing to be alive. David, you take over from this. You can go on the. Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel, Students' Mobility in the Digital World. My name is Valdana Hrnic, and I'm an outreach coordinator in Region 8 Student Activities Committee. And together with me is also David Morgado. He's a Region 8 Student Branches Coordinator. And as you have probably seen so far, we have today our esteemed guests who are currently on some type of student exchange. So I would not lose too much time. I wanted to give them as much possible time to share their experiences. So tonight with us is Joana Napolis, who is a Portuguese student and is currently in Netherlands. Miguel Ferreira, also from Portuguese, but is currently in Sweden working for a company. Antina Papadopoula, and she's from Greece, starting her experience right now, her PhD in Belgium. Nihat Ferhatovic, he's from Bosnia and Herzegovina and is currently on a master's exchange in Sweden as well. So, welcome all. First of all, I would like to start with Joanna. Because I'm interested in what was your background, why did you choose this program in Netherlands, and please share us some details about the exchanges in order how to take this application, how to and give motivations from our viewers how to have a successful application for such program.
Hi everyone, thanks for the invitation and nice to see you all. So yeah, we can start by this question is really important because it's the beginning of everything, right? So the motivation, it came from one simple week in Italy. It was the first time I went for an abroad internship. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in terms of my academic path, and one of the best experience I've had in my life, I can say. It was funny enough at the same field that I'm studying right now. I'm taking my master's internship to do my thesis in the Netherlands. And because of my Italian experience, I knew exactly what I wanted to do for my thesis. And with this, I can tell you a bit more about the program that I'm currently doing. I'm doing Erasmus Plus, which is focused more on the internships that we can do and not all about the courses and the classes and everything. It's interesting because it has a lot of good, a wide range of opportunities, but we are the ones who get them. We are the ones that exchange all the mails that we need to exchange with all the teachers, all the companies that we are interested in. We are the ones that do almost everything in the process. So one of the best and the first advice that I have to give you, piece of advice, is that you start early. It is really important that you start early to investigate first the field that you want, then see what are the main labs or the main companies in Europe or outside, because there are a lot of other programs outside of Europe as well that can give you a scholarship or some kind of support. And yeah, that gave me the opportunity to come to the Netherlands, although I exchanged a lot of miles, didn't get a response for half of it. It's part of the plan and it's okay. And yeah, you do a lot of interviews before you choose and they choose you. And that's basically it. Eventually, you need to deal with a lot of logistics as well, one of the advice I usually give is regarding the country that you're going to, the logistics. Sometimes you don't get all the information from the people of your university, so you need to see in the municipalities everywhere if you need to do like some kind of logistics in the country that you're going to. So that's also important. And housing is very important that you take care of that with a lot of time because it's a nightmare. But eventually you get a place to stay with a nice pricing and it goes well. Regarding the reasons why I chose the Netherlands, so my field is organs on chip. I'm a biomedical engineering to be. And after a lot of research on the internet, talking to my teachers, everything, I came across the Netherlands, which is one of the best and most advanced countries, European countries in this field. So I was lucky enough that in Utvente, that's where I am now, they are taking in international students, because in the rest, the other parts of the Netherlands, because of the COVID situation, they weren't taking in students. So I was very lucky to be chosen and to be here. So that's also a plus for the list of advice and the pieces of the advice that I have to give you. But yeah, that's why I'm here. And that's basically it. I'm now in the middle of my internship. I've been dealing with a lot of funny experiences due to being abroad for so long. But yeah, that's everything from my experience so far.
We will most definitely speak about the COVID situation and most definitely speak about the funny situation. So please keep those in mind. But does anybody else wants to add something on this? Because you all are here on different programs and different countries, and even if the same country as Nihat and Miguel, Sweden, it's the different experience. So please share some type of application. And we have Nihat here raised his hand. So Nihat, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Hello to our audience. My name is Nihat Ferhatovic. I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Currently, I'm in Västerås in Sweden at Erasmus Plus exchange program, which is called International Credit Mobility, or ICM. I just wanted to add that during this process, the international offices at universities are maybe the most important parts of whole application process, because they are made to help you. So after your first investigation process that you have, you find the university you want, then you need to go to your international office and get as much information as you can get, because they are the best resource point, let's say it in that way, just to get that first insight about the whole program and how everything goes. Mostly you will find out some other possibilities as well. In my experience, I found Poland as the and chose it in my head. This is my destination. But when I went to the international office, I saw I heard from the international officer at my home university, International Birch University, that we have opportunity to go to Sweden. And when I saw that that the university is Mälardalen University in Västerås, which is the, let's say, robot valley of Sweden, I was astonished, and I just chose Sweden instead. And all of this I'm saying just because those international offices can be really, really helpful.
Okay, thank you, Nihat. Atina raised her hand first, so please unmute yourself.
Hi, so hello everyone. I'm Athena. I'm from Greece. I have studied electrical and computer engineering. Currently, I'm in Belgium to pursue my PhD, and before that, I was at CERN doing my thesis. Regarding the application process and some advice, I would advise someone to find also alumni from their university or even from their country to the place that they want to visit. And even if they don't know them personally, they can just send them a message on Facebook or even LinkedIn. And I'm sure most of them will be very willing to provide information or even welcome you when you arrive here and help you with all the important matters like the housing, how to open a bank account, I don't know what time is the last bus, all this kind of information that may require a lot of time to find, but it's very easy if someone else transmits this knowledge to you. So yeah, this is also the goal of the event today, to share experiences. So yeah, reach out to other people who are there and they will be likely very willing to help you.
That's an awesome advice. Thank you. Miguel?
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm Miguel, I'm from Portugal. I currently live in Sweden. Just to add up to what Athena and Nihat said, if you're also lucky enough to have a Erasmus Student Network or ESN branch in the city you're going to, they are also like a really good source of information for you to go, and they will direct you towards the right information, even if they don't know the information that you're asking for. So it's the hardest part is the first step. You just need to start asking around and people will for sure help you. Everyone that's been doing this, it's like a big family. Everybody kind of helps each other out. So yeah.
Nihat approves, and so does Joanna. So awesome. So does anybody else has something more to share about this? But we can also go back if you get something later in mind. Awesome. So actually, I was just noticing that all of you are super active students, of course, because such opportunities are not easily found. So Miguel, I was interested in how did actually your experiences in student organizations such as IEEE and ISTEC helped you to evolve in a more confident person, and also to how did it affected in your journey to Sweden to work there?
So yeah, when you work in an international let's call it work, in an international organization, it kind of, you meet a lot of people with a lot of different experiences, and you start to wonder if you can do it and if it's worth to do it. And in the end, of course, it's always worth to do it, in my opinion, because when you work in these kind of associations, there's everyone with a different mindset. So you will always learn something new every day. And yeah, that kind of happened with me a bit more with ISTEC than IEEE, because ISTEC, I was doing much more international work, not so much local work. And yeah, I got to meet some people, discuss, and they gave me the willingness to go abroad. And a lot of the things that I did in ISTEC, and also the way that we work with international people, everything is in English. You are used to conducting meetings in English, writing agendas, writing emails, all of this basic stuff. It's really valued by employees and everyone really values the fact that you know you are used to this, so they don't have to teach you. So for example, my manager was quite surprised that I was not willing, but I had this comfort. I was comfortable with writing emails and talking to people that I never met in my life before in English, because yeah, I don't know, these associations really make you comfortable with this and allow you to take this step forward and improve yourself. Yeah, that would be my 2 cents on it. Yeah.
I agree totally, because I think all of us here had some type of this experience. So does anybody else wants to? Okay, I see Joanna raised her hand. Feel free.
Yeah, I wanted to include not about my experience, but a fun fact. The experience I had in Italy that I talked earlier was actually organized by another organization, student organization. It was organized by BEST. So it's one of the biggest, at least in my university, organizations of students, and they give a lot of opportunities to do this kind of small internships as well as other programs. So you don't need to only go to the university to see this kind of programs. You can also contact the organizations itself, because my student branch as well, the one that I was part of, also organized a lot of international stuff as well, events and everything that you can imagine. So yeah, you just need to think about a plan, organize it, find some people interested, and it will go smoothly. Yeah.
Nihat?
I just wanted briefly to add that point is that network is everything. Like being part of international conferences, different programs, different organizations, you meet a lot of people, and when you have that diverse network, different people from all around the world, it's much easier to get to these chances and to get help if you need it. If you know someone when you are going to a new country, to a whole new place, that can be a very useful thing. So I just wanted to add that.
Yes, this is actually very true, because if you're not part of some community, you are not aware of their opportunities. So this is very much true. Okay, so moving on. As I said, I would like to speak more about the COVID situation, because we are all being affected about with this, and you are abroad. You are actually not with your homes, with your families. So, Atina, you had some experience prior to this. You have been abroad before. So I would like to see the differences. How does the COVID situation affected your journey now, and what was it before? Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely changes a lot of stuff in the whole process of moving abroad. Actually, when I was doing my internship at CERN during the last 2 months, it was when the pandemic really started. So it was we were very surprised by it, and it was something that, of course, we didn't expect. And during the first 2 months of the pandemic, everything went completely behind. The project I was doing there was experimental on a big part. So it was not something I could do remotely. So, for example, many of our experiments and many tasks we had planned had to, unfortunately, be cancelled. However, the past year that we are facing this situation, all of the companies or institutes have are more prepared and have taken more measures to guarantee that you can still do your work, even if you have to visit your laboratory or even remotely. This is the case now that I'm in Belgium. And because, again, the project I'm doing is highly experimental, I will still have to visit my workplace a few, at least, days in a week to proceed with my work. And that's very good, because you change a bit the environment. You're not in your house in a foreign country, which, to be honest, can be very tough mentally and psychologically if you're alone, completely alone. But the pandemic has not only affected the work itself, but also the possibility to meet with the locals and understand how people in the country you live in think or live their lives. And sadly, this is not something that we can do about right now. It's very hard to meet people and socialize with them. So yeah, I think we have to wait a bit until things get better so that we can understand more deeply the culture that we live in right now.
Okay, I see Miguel and Joanna have raised hands, so I think.
Yeah, sorry, Joanna. Just to add up to this, I did Erasmus the first time when there was no pandemic, and now I moved last July. But what really makes it difficult is to miss your family, and you don't have the opportunity to go freely. For example, I arrived in Portugal last Saturday. I'm in quarantine right now, but I moved to Sweden 11 months ago, and I couldn't come home for Christmas, and I couldn't come home for Easter because regulations change every 2 weeks. There's a new rules for this, and it really does make it difficult because you are in a new country where Sweden is a bit different because you can still socialize a bit more, but it's still not the same thing because it's also people that you met a few months ago, and you don't feel it's not the same thing as your family and as your friends. And this connection, both with the locals, as Athena referred, and also with your family and friends at home, it's really heavy because I don't know, it was the first Christmas that I spent without my family, and it was I just wanted Christmas to be over so I could stop thinking about it, because it's really heavy that you cannot, like, the reason you can go home, it's not because of you, it's because of something else that's besides your control. So yeah.
Yes, feeling like helpless. Yeah, Joanna?
Okay, I wasn't going to talk about a sensitive topic, but I felt that because I also miss the people at home. But yeah, I was going to talk about the opportunities that at least the program that I'm in give. Because of all the pandemic, they changed a bit the program and give the opportunity to do half of it remotely and half of it in person. Because in the beginning of the semester we are in, the situation was really nasty regarding the coronavirus, and most of the people were going to decline receiving students because of that. But with the proposition of giving half of the internship remotely and the other half in person, a lot of more opportunities were given. And other than that, regarding meeting new people here, totally agree. There are no parties, there are no people on the streets, or at least shouldn't be. But fortunately, the program that I'm in, the Erasmus Plus, also organizes a lot of online meetings and events with people from the same country or others that are in the same position as you. And there are a lot of game nights and everything. So the spirit is a bit different because we are still students. But in PhD programs, I believe it's way different because it's more individual. So I don't know the opportunities if there are a lot of them for this kind of meetings. But yeah, regarding the Erasmus Plus, there are these ones, and they're pretty nice for this kind of pandemic situation. Yeah, there's that.
Okay, awesome. You actually have answered a bit one of my follow-up questions, so I will use this. Nihat?
I just want to add up to what my colleagues said. It's because of the coronavirus. I mean, it's obvious that it is quite difficult. But I can also speak like from both perspectives, meeting people in person and being in online environment. Because the first semester I was part of one project that was happening in person, so I had an opportunity to work with the students from Sweden and with other international students, and that experience was quite different when I compare it with the second semester where I was completely at my room, only doing thesis by my laptop in my room, and it's quite difficult. But also, I must say that Sweden is quite good for this whole situation, because we didn't have any lockdowns in last year. There are no big parties, but every time international students organize something, all international students will come to that place, and at least we can talk in person. We don't need to be in some closed small room in dormitory or something like that. But it is difficult, but again, to have your spirits lifted, that's the most important thing, to meet the local people and to learn their culture as well.
Okay, I hope we will have the time to talk more about the culture, but I will use this follow-up question now, since Joanna already started a bit. So, I mean, we all had to adapt our daily works and responsibilities to the COVID. So basically, my question to all of you is, do you know how did actually your program use this? Because some of you have been already before the COVID on the spot, and some of you have traveled during the COVID. So how much do you think that your programs have been prepared for such situation? Because honestly, nobody was prepared, but they have to take a special care for you because you are not even their citizens. So just a little bit, what do you think about it? How did this affect all of us? We will start with Joanna because she raised her hand.
Yeah, as I was saying, the program is now very adept to the situation, but this is already the third semester, if I'm not mistaken, that we are facing the pandemic. So they have already had time to adapt, because the first semester was a mess. A lot of programs were canceled when they were already there. I have a lot of friends that were in Italy, where a lot of it started in Europe, and it was a bit of a mess to deal with all the airplanes that they need to catch, and they were canceled, everything. But the program, it adapted pretty well for the conditions. They always gave us the monetary support that we needed, and that's one of the main sources that they give. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Miguel?
Yeah, so because of this, I started 2 months later than I was expected to start, because my flight got canceled like 4 times. And what happened was that what I'm doing, I'm working with Industry 4.0, so I need to be in production a lot of times, but people are now working from home much more often. I'm working now in Portugal for 3 weeks remotely, and this would never happen if not for the pandemic. So it opened people's minds much more. And other thing that I think people in managers and like people that were not pro for working from home and everything and studying from home are opening their eyes is that they are seeing the results that in 6 hours you can do the same work as in 8 in the office, because there's no distractions. So we implemented, because of this, there's kind of now a rule, unspoken rule in the office, that if you have to write a report or documentation or prepare a presentation or something, it's better to stay at home, because then you can focus and get your work done and nobody will disturb you. And if you need to be in the office because you need to be doing something there physically, then you be in the office. But yeah, this was the pandemic. One of the positive things that I think it helped a lot with universities, with institutes, with companies, was the fact that you can now do remotely without being judged, or you can work from home without being judged, and they are much more open for this.
Also, Does anybody else wants to add something on this?
I can add regarding my programs. I must just say that both of my universities, my home university, Birch University in Sarajevo, responded pretty really good, I must say, because when pandemic struck us in March, like 3 days from the moment when the education part stopped at the university, like 3 days from that, we already had all lectures, all labs organized through the different platforms. And also, I must admit that here in Sweden, I mean, that was the second semester with COVID. They adapted pretty well. I mean, I didn't. So I mean, it's different because you are not at the university, but I mean, the experience is not that different because you are following your lectures from your bed, which is for me, from my perspective, really good. You don't need to be dressed up in the classroom all the time, 8 hours a day. So from my perspective, both universities responded really, really well.
That's awesome because, as Miguel said, actually a lot of things have been actually cancelled totally. I myself had an experience that should have been in October last year, but I started to we should have started with the visa in March and stuff, and yeah, that was like the worst time because it was the when the pandemic really started. So basically, a lot of things have been cancelled totally. So therefore, I wanted to see how adapt are your organizations, and I think we all had to adapt a lot of in this process because it's been over 1 year. So I'm glad that we still have this opportunity, and I have one more follow-up question for this. Since you are mostly remote in a different country but working remote, do you like this opportunity better than having to work remotely from your home? So just a short answer from everyone. What would you pick if you could have if you had the chance to choose? Joanna?
My work is very practical. I need to do microfabrication, see things in a microscope, etc. So doing this kind of work at home, I only see the possibility on doing reviews or writing stuff. So that's the boring part for me. So I'm really glad that I have the opportunity to come to the lab and be there and work with my hands. I think that's the best way to describe it, and develop stuff, because we spend all the degree doing things more theoretical, and having the opportunity to do this kind of internships in the middle of a pandemic, it's great for me. Being at home is also great, but practical internships are a great opportunity to learn and have better experience, in my field at least.
Okay, Miguel, what about you? You raised hand.
Yeah, I basically agree with Joanna because I started doing home office from Portugal this week to Sweden. First, there's a time difference, so it doesn't really help. And secondly, there's if there's like something that I need to do, that I'll just get on the bike and go to the office quickly to check something, because it would take me 10 minutes to check something and then come back or continue work from there. Now I have to call like 5 different people sometimes to check if the machine is connected, the machine is not connected, why cannot ping the machine, what's wrong. Yeah, so it's kind of frustrating, because you still see that after a year of pandemic, there are still some barriers, and yeah, that's why nothing is yet perfect. We are much more ahead in this remote than we were a year and a half ago, but there's still some barriers that I think it will be hard to transpose.
Okay, I just wanted to check. I mean, if you all miss home, just to see how much do you miss home. Athena?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a distinction from working from your home country and working from your home with your family, because at the beginning of the pandemic I moved back to my family's home, and okay, you cannot make four other people be completely silent or not make many noises for 8 hours during the morning. So it's many times difficult to coordinate your schedules. Yeah, for me, the ideal would be to work from your country, but a different place. And when you are available, you can meet with your friends and family, have this kind of connection. And I see also now on Twitter, there is a trend of international people going to Greek islands to work remotely. So if anyone is interested spending 5 months in Greek island working, there is this option also.
Where do we sign in? Awesome. Yeah. Well, I had my share of experience with this as well, because during the pandemic, I worked from a different town for Sarajevo remotely. It's the same countries, same time zone, but still. And yeah, but at the end, I have moved to Sarajevo. So as you can see, it's always better to be in that place because you experience something new. Okay, so moving on with our questions, because as you all can see, all of our panelists are very much involved in different activities, different organizations, and therefore I actually have a question, mostly for Nihat. How do you organize your tasks in order to have all the tasks that you do for some organizations in your mother country, and also your master thesis and additional maybe work? How do you organize yourself to be as productive as you are?
First of all, it's really difficult to do that. I mean, and to achieve the same level of productivity that you had before, because moving to another country, to another culture, having all those experiences is it's not really good for your productivity, because your productivity goes down really steep, because you want to learn new things, you want to meet new people, but also you need to work for your organizations in your native country. So that's it's quite difficult. In my case, I'm a part of Bosnia and Herzegovina Futures Foundation for a couple of years, and it's I have a very active role in that foundation. We also switched everything to online environment, so from that perspective, it's much easier to speak with people and do the work. But again, maybe the best point that I can make about this topic is that time management is like personal skill, and each of us have different ways how to deal with it. From my perspective, I use different softwares, because they and programs, platforms that really help me. One of them is Notion, and I'm a huge fan of it. It's not ad or something like that. It's really cool app, and I suggest it to all of our viewers just to try it. I'm using it to track my schedule, to track my to-do lists. When I compare it with I'm also doing notes for my master thesis as well. And maybe the second point that I want to make here is that you need to know to take a break. Sometimes you are working too hard, and you just need to know when to say stop. Okay, let's take a break. Maybe a weekend, or 3 or 4 days, 5 days, go to some trip, visit another city, speak with local people, just to charge. Let's say it that way. That's the best thing that I can say here, because speaking with and spending time with locals and different people can really lift your spirits, and it works in my experience. So maybe those are 2 points, the main points that I want to make here.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Does anybody else? Oh, I see Miguel has raised his hands. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Nihat said. It makes it really difficult because, for example, for me, the way I volunteer, it's mostly I get my energy from people, and the fact that, okay, I see these people online, but I'm not physically with these people. If I was in Portugal, I would not see them super often in person, but I would still be able to see them. And the fact that I'm in another country, I cannot see them at all, period. And I've met my IEEE boards for IEEE Portugal, I think once in person since my mandate started. So it's really difficult, and it kind of makes it even more difficult to get your passion and your motivation going if you have a down period, because since you don't have these people to get your energy from, you really, and there's nobody where you are in the country that you are that understands what you're going through and that you can really share what you're going through. It makes it really difficult once you go, the motivation drops to get it back up. And also, I think the pandemic kind of made the volunteer burnout. I heard this term quite a lot around lately. It's been more than before because we volunteer to try to get out of this, get our mind out of the pandemic, and then we end up working like, I don't know, 6 hours after work or after the classes for the NGO, and then we are slowly creating a repetitive cycle that is not going to go well in the future.
Okay, awesome. So actually we go back now to the part of the organization and how it's actually important to be part of some community and to give you the best environment for you to grow. And when you then have to adapt on a different situation, you actually have that backup from them. So I think that's it. If you don't have anything to add, we can go another question. My idea now is that you share something that you experience abroad that might be, or at least a small cultural shock. Did you have something that happened to you actually that totally was unexpected for you? Joanna, please.
I can start by introducing the Portuguese people. We are very warm-hearted and we like very warm weather. So I don't know if you know the weather in the Netherlands, but it's not constant. So the funny, unexpected experience was one of the small trips that I did to another city here. We went to Harlem one day and we were expecting rain as a normal day in the Netherlands. But actually, in the period of 2 hours, we saw the sun, we saw snow, we saw rain. The wind was crazy. It was a fun trip, but the city compensated everything. And another funny experience here, with all the pandemic, I wasn't expecting on meeting a lot of people. But another fact from Portuguese people is that when we meet another Portuguese in another country, it's a party, to say the least. We introduce ourselves as we were family. So I basically have met 30 people, 30 Portuguese dudes here in my city. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to have a few people to travel and a few people to have lunch because we work on the same building or something. everything COVID friendly, but yeah, it's been funny, and I was lucky to have that kind of community built here.
Be honest, Joanna, you have colonized Netherlands.
We are working on that, yes.
Miguel, I think you were next.
So when I moved to Italy for my first Erasmus, Italy is not a country well known for speaking English. So I was sharing this room with this 18-year-old kid. That was his first day at university. So he started later than us because he was a freshman. And it was like 8 in the morning. I was in my room sleeping, and then him and his parents came into the room because nobody told me, nobody spoke English in the reception, told me that was somebody coming in. And then there comes this family, a 18-year-old kid and his parents, and they also don't speak English. And we were like for 20 minutes gesticulating and trying to understand. I was like, it's my room, what's happening? Nobody told me anything. They said they would told me when somebody would come in. So I would prepare, because my room was a bit of a mess. So yeah, it's this, you always have funny experiences when people are not very comfortable with English. Luckily, this doesn't happen so much in Sweden. Everybody speaks English in Sweden. It's incredible. But yeah, I had some quite awkward experiences and funny experiences in Italy because of the language.
Yeah, I can add on that. I had my fair share of those experiences in Italy as well. But actually, I had the luck. If you meet some young people in the street, they mostly know English. But if you just like ask a little bit older person, they probably don't. However, you should have used some type of app. In this digital era, just say something and translate. Yeah.
It was 2015. I don't think I had apps on my phone.
Okay, so our viewers are prepared for this situation, right?
Yeah.
Nihad?
Yes, for me, I'm also in Sweden, and Miguel already covered the part of regarding language. That's maybe the biggest cultural shock that I had. Everyone speaks English. Like even though if you have 7 years, or if you are 77, you speak English very well. And I was really confused because sometimes when you are in the bus or bus station or some market, you don't expect that some grandpa or grandma, like 70 years old, that will speak with you in English. And of course, they say something in Swedish first, and I was like, sorry, I don't know. And I'm trying to show with my hands that I don't understand them, because I don't think they will really understand my English language. And they're like, oh, that's great. Where are you from? How are you? How is it in Sweden? When did you came here? And that was like a huge shock for me. And that's great. Later, I found out that Sweden is maybe third country in the world in speaking English language, which is really great thing. Another thing is that in my country, Bosnia and Herzegovina, nothing happens on time. Like rarely happens regarding buses, those schedules and stuff. Here it's completely different situation. Everything is on time. In a minute, you have bus at 12:43, and you will have the bus at 12:43. You have at least 3 or 4 apps where you can track all the buses, trains, trams, all kind of all kind of transportation, and that's also the great thing. One now on the other side, one of the maybe, let's say, negative things is that duration of day and night, which changes like from one extreme value to another one. In December, we had maybe 5 or 6 hours of daylight, which was from 9 to, let's say, 2:30, maybe 3, and then it's dark. I cannot say whole day because it's not day, it's dark. Everything is dark. On the other hand, in the summer, let's say at this moment, it's still day outside. We have daylight till maybe 10:30, which is really a crazy thing for me. I just didn't expect that at all. So maybe those are things that I would mention here.
Because of this, I have just a small follow-up question for Nihat and Miguel. Did you guys learn any word of Sweden because of this? Like, come on, be honest here. Like any word.
I learned maybe, I would say 10 words maximum, just like hello, how are you, and thank you, and that's it. Because I mean, you don't really need it at all.
Okay, Miguel.
Yeah, I only learned Swedish because we have a few people in production that are from other countries and they only speak their language in Swedish. But when it's a Swedish person, they speak English. When it's not a Swedish person, you might need Swedish. So that's why we try to learn, but it's a very funny language. So I'm really enjoying learning it right now.
Okay, awesome. Athena?
Yeah, I also had a very big cultural shock the first days I was in Switzerland. Here in Belgium, I'm just for a week. I haven't seen how people act. But yeah, back in Greece, I think it's the same in countries in the Balkans. When you have to go to the secretary of your department or in the library, you are usually prepared that the person working there will not be very helpful or very kind. They are usually just waiting to leave and go home. So the first days I was at CERN, I had to go to the library and ask for 2 books. So I give the list to the secretary there. The one book was available, but the second didn't exist in the library. And okay, while I was thinking, damn, I have to find it other ways. She goes like, don't worry, we will find this book in any other library in Europe and we will bring it here just for you. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. I'm very honored. When should I pass by to pick it up? When will it be here? And she goes like, oh, no, don't worry. We will ship it to your office directly. You don't have to go anywhere. And this was like mind-blowing. The first or the second day, I'm like, where did I come? Does this really exist? It was, yeah, this organization, I have never seen it before.
You are all far too kind with your home countries. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit honest, and that's great from you. Okay, so moving on, I actually just wanted to ask one more question, and we have already a few questions from the audience, so then I will leave them to start the Q&A session. So my last question is, if you would have the chance to do it all again, would you change something?
We didn't hear you, Vildana. You muted yourself.
Oops. So I see raised hands. I think it was Joanna, Miguel, and then Athena.
I would only change my accommodation and I wouldn't change at the same time because I didn't spend a lot of time on it. So I ended up living a bit far from the university because I also thought I wouldn't be needing to go there as often. But on the other side, cycling for 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes the other way is pretty good actually for just going elsewhere with my mind. And my housemates are really nice, so this area is really calm. that also is good. And yeah, I wouldn't change a thing other than that. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Miguel?
I would not change a thing for sure, because I'm a big advocate that we are what we are right now because of the decisions we took. I'm not going to start here in a philosophical, I don't know, but yeah, I think that we are right now a bit in a FOMO, fear of missing out society, and everyone is like, yeah, but you could have changed that to do that and to do that and to do that, but there are so many opportunities that you cannot do everything. So you just, in my opinion, is you take a decision, stick with whatever decision you made, and be happy about it. If some things are not going so well, work towards changing your situation or improving it. But yeah, I would not change anything otherwise, because you'll spend the rest of your life what if, and yeah, there's not enough hours in the day to do everything.
Awesome. I like your answer. Tina?
Yeah, I completely agree with Miguel. It's easy to think that, oh, I did that wrong, I should change that. But at the end of the day, I don't think we should be so harsh with ourselves and appreciate the opportunities that have been given to us, and just use this kind of, I don't know, regrets. It's a hard word, but put an effort towards improving ourselves in the future rather than thinking about what we should have done in the past.
Awesome. Thank you. Nihat?
Since I'm in the process of writing my thesis, I would just change my thesis topic maybe. If I need to choose one thing, that would be nothing else.
Awesome. So I think I can conclude that most of you are satisfied with this opportunity and the options that you had. And even if this crazy situation has affected all of us, you are happy with this. And that's actually awesome that you use the maximum of it. So we have a few questions, as I see on the YouTube. So the first one is, what have you learned taken from the situation we live in? So maybe all of you say something that's most valuable for you.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah,
Can you
sure,
repeat the question?
So the first question is, what have you learned, taken from the situation we live in? Probably most connected with the pandemic and so on. So Joanna has raised her hand, so you all can after.
Yeah, I was the first thing that came to mind was that we need to take chances, although the situation we are in seems to be very limitative. But yeah, I had earlier opportunity to come to this kind of programs, and I was not very motivated or into taking chances, and I regretted it. So the following opportunity that I had, I just really went for it, and here I am. So yeah, the best advice I have is to take chances, to look for opportunities, although there seems to be none or very few. There is always something that you can do and improve yourself. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome advice. But as Miguel said, you should be happy because you are now this person because of all your previous experiences. Nihat, you have raised your hand, so feel free.
Yes, maybe the biggest the biggest lesson I've learned is that we all need to seek discomfort as much as we can, because it sounds like a cliche that leaving comfort zone you will learn everything and stuff like that. We heard that many times, but I mean, by going out, you will learn much more than you would learn if you stayed somewhere. if I stayed at my home university this last year of my master's degree program, I would still learn and experience great things. But I chose to come to Sweden, and I think that I experienced maybe 300% more than I would experience in the if I would if I stayed in Sarajevo. It's not. I had a great time in Sarajevo as well, but sometimes just changing your life like for 180 degrees means a lot to you. And I think that I'm much more experienced in living a life after this year. So maybe that point would be just seek discomfort as much as you can, and that's it. That's it.
Discomfort is the way to a personal growth. Athena?
Yeah, I wanted to add to what it's already said, that when someone is about to start the process of applying to positions abroad, I think it's common that many of us underestimate our abilities. So, for example, someone reads all the requirements for a position, and they think that, oh, I'm probably not good enough for this, or there is someone else who is better. And that's mainly because when we think about ourselves, we mostly think the negative or the things we have to improve, and not our advantages or our abilities. So I would say that it's okay to take as many chances as we can to apply to positions that even seem impossible to get, because at the end of the day, I think each one of us can do much more, can do and achieve much more things that we can think of.
I just wanted to add that in the same train of thought, a lot of the higher position people are very available and very approachable. So you also don't need to be afraid to contact the big bosses, because they most of the time are very nice and are very helpful to conduct you to someone that is more related to your field or more related to giving you an internship or something. So that's also a thing to take into consideration.
Awesome advices. So if there is nothing more to add here, we can go to the second one. It says, do you feel that there will be an increase on work from home strategies? If yes, why? If no, why, please? Miguel?
Yeah, for sure there will be, because it will give people an opportunity to adapt their lives better. So you don't need to stay 1 hour in traffic each way to go to work, or it will depend, of course, position to position, but there will be jobs that there might become extinct or completely change after this pandemic. And this will also help with people's mental health, because as Nihat said, okay, you can wake up and be in a meeting or be in a class without needing to get up, take a shower, have breakfast, get on the bus, go on the bus, and then like there's not this completely stress in the morning if you are not in that mood to go somewhere in the morning, and you can just start slowly, and yeah, you can adapt your life much easier.
Okay, awesome. If nothing more, we can go to the next one. Kind of two, so let's see if we can split it or answer together. What are the challenges of working in another country? So you can think about it like prior to pandemic and after for those that had experiences. Miguel, Joanna, Nihat.
Okay, the challenges of working in another country. I didn't feel that big of a challenges because I'm working in a multinational company. So when I did my master thesis internship for them in Portugal, but I was 70% of the day meetings in English, everything was in English. So in terms of work, I don't think that was that big of a challenge because it's a big company, everything is already in English from the start. But the biggest challenge is you will move to another country, start working, but at the same time you need to set up your life. So bank, taxes, furnish your house, all of this, and you don't know the language. And as good as Sweden is with English, there will be still documents that I get in the mail from the government that are in Swedish. And then I need to translate them. And then I need, okay, but this doesn't make sense. Google Translate. No, this is then I need to talk with somebody. So I think the biggest challenges are on the personal level because you are not super familiar with the culture and with the language and the way things work, like with the buses being on time, for example. That's a perfect example for Scandinavian countries. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge, not in terms of work, but in terms of adapting your life to the place you move to.
So the biggest challenge is to be on time for the bus?
No, I go by bike, but yeah, I've had some troubles with the train.
Yeah, just kidding. Joanna?
I completely agree with Miguel because both my experiences were in universities that are actually really international as well. A lot of the classes, all of the researchers that I have meetings with, that I'm in the lab with, even the cleaning ladies, they all know how to communicate. And that's important. But the main advice is to be open-minded, as Miguel was saying as well, because the culture is really different. You are not used to the food, you are not used to the timetables of the people. They have really different working schedules, working methods. So you just need to be open-minded, wait a few weeks to analyze everything and adapt. And that's basically it. It was not that different from previous experience prior to COVID. You only see fewer people in the streets, and that's basically it for me.
Nihal?
I mean, they covered pretty much everything. Maybe I would just add from the student's perspective, it felt really difficult, like first few days, just to start the communication with other students, because in my case, I had to find a team for the project first day when I arrived. So that was really tricky because everyone knew some students from previous years, and I was like completely new guy, and it was really hard to approach to those already established groups. But again, just go for it and try. I mean, sometimes you are not gonna receive the response that you wanted, but you just need to go again to another group and speak with them. And 2 or 3 months later, those guys will be your best friends. So it's really hard at the beginning, but you just need to break the ice. I mean, in the online environment is maybe more difficult to break that ice because everyone is in their homes, like in front of the screens, and it's completely different when you are in person, when you can approach someone in person and speak with him or her. So it is, to summarize, it is difficult, that especially that those first few days, but after that everything is pretty great, I would say.
Thank you, Nihal. You actually kind of started a bit the discussion about our next question, because it was, do you believe that the pandemic made that transition harder? So if you would like to add first something on that. If not, Miguel can start.
Yeah, I do believe it made it harder because people are not so willing to meet other people that they don't know, even if you work with them, because some people are taking more precautions, some people are taking less precautions. So it's up to anyone, but it made it harder to connect with people, as I think we already all covered, that you don't meet so many locals. And I think it's the same if you're with international people, because they are all kind of in the same mindset as you. Yeah, they're still taking precautions, but they are more open to meet outside and just chat and meet other people, because it's the same mindset. You're out of your comfort zone, you want to meet other people. But for the locals, I think it made it much harder to approach them and talk to them, because everyone wants to be safe.
Okay, does anybody want to add something? No, we think we have covered that. So actually, that was kind of our last question on this channel, at least as I can see it. If something new comes up, we can forward actually to you guys, or you can leave some type of social media if you want to be connected with the people who watch this. Also, this will stay on our YouTube channel, so basically you will have access, everyone who has missed it live will have access to rewatch it later. So that's also good for all people that might want to go in your way to have the same experiences as you. So basically, they will have all these great advices. So my actually last question for you guys would be, we have talked about it, we have mentioned it already, but maybe just to summarize it for all people that want to have some type of exchange, doesn't matter if it's a master's or work or any type of project, just like summarize a few advices that you would give to them. Joanna?
Okay, the first thing that came in mind was packing. Packing is important when you move to another country. We haven't talked about it. So if you haven't done that in a while, or if you haven't done it at all, choose the items that you used in the past year. But other than that, you should plan it with time. All the other stuff. Talk to your teachers, talk to previous alumni, send emails with a lot of time. But yeah, the mindset is important, being open-minded, prepared for the flights to be late, to arrive to a city and the train is not working and you need to rearrange your plans. So yeah, that's important.
That's awesome. With packing, I think we missed it, but this is actually a good advice. So we are continuing now. I think Tina was second, and then Miguel.
Yeah, I just wanted one advice. One advice I would like to add is budget. You have to prepare, and you have to know that if you are about to move to another country, the first month, basically the month before you receive your first salary, you will have a lot of costs and you have to pay for a lot of things, much more than you think. This is why it's happening to me right now, and so you have to be prepared and to have the flexibility to have a significant amount of money on the side so that you can prepare for anything that may happen at your new place.
Thank you, Miguel.
Yeah, adding up to two essential things that both Joanna and Athena mentioned that, yeah, they're really important, especially the budget one. If you have to put stuff in house, I think you should not be afraid to ask people for stuff, because you are coming into something that's completely new to you. And if you're not going to ask people for any help or advice or whatever kind of information, you will probably get in trouble. Can be with the government because you didn't fill the form you needed to fill, or can be with, yeah, doesn't matter, but just don't be afraid to ask. People are super approachable. Yeah, that's my number one advice.
Awesome. Nihat?
I mean, I agree with all of the advices, especially regarding the budget. That's like the most important thing, I would say, especially if you are coming from a country that have lower living standard. And when you move to the country where everything is much more expensive, you really need to be careful on how much money are you spending and where do you want to cut your expenses just to save some money, maybe for some trip or vacation or stuff like that. So you need to be really careful about it. I would just maybe go back and say in for the application process, everything depends on you as a student or as a someone who is looking for an internship or job. No one will come to you and say, hey, we have an opportunities, come with us and stuff like that. You need to find themselves. And I want to encourage everyone here who is listening just to go to the websites and Google different opportunities. And I'm 100% sure that everyone will find something which is relatable, which they can relate to, or which sounds like a dream job or opportunity for them. So that would be like my final advice.
Also a good point, together with the budget and with the packaging. Joanna, do you want something else to add? Yes.
Yeah, because you reminded me of some of the other advice that I also have regarding the network and everything that Nihad was talking about. Always have your CV and LinkedIn updated. That's very important because you'll need to send it, and you know it. Please take 3 hours of one day and update your CV. That's really important. And combining the budget and the communication. There are a lot of life hacks that you can get from communicating with alumni or locals. For instance, in the Netherlands, you have a lot of discounts in means of transportation, the passes, the cards that you get to have a monthly pay and everything. If you have, for instance, a bank account, you receive a type of discount. There are a few things that can help you lower your budget, lower the payment that you have to do every month. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind as well, because they're usually not on the websites that you have on the internet. They're also always under the table. So keep in mind that.
Okay, and Nihat approves. These were some awesome advices by our panelists, and we are actually perfect on time. So with this, I would conclude this panel discussion, and I must say you were all great, and thank you for sharing all of your experiences with us. I also want to thank all the viewers who have watched it until the end and who will do it in the upcoming days and maybe weeks. So thank you guys for joining in, and I hope you will stay for our next webinar that will, well, actually webinars and panels that are upcoming in the next weeks and months. Thank you all, and good night, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.